The day Musical.ly died. August 2nd, 2018. That's when Musical.ly got snuffed. It died like last week. If I had to guess, you were probably clicking this video hoping for a little more than just literally the day Musical.ly died, so please allow me to do my best to oblige. But before we get into that, I want to show you guys something absolutely incredible that's completely unrelated to Musical.ly. So you guys know Casey Neistat's old company that he ended up leaving, Beam? So somebody bought the domain name for that company, beam.com, and if you type that site into your web address bar, it takes you to a magical place. I'm gonna give you a second to go type that in real fast. Okay, I've given you your second, but just in case it doesn't work anymore, if you type in that address when I was recording this, this thing comes up. I don't know if that still works when this video goes up, but please give it a shot and see if it still does, for me, please. Anyways, back on topic. So Musical.ly was first launched by two Asian dudes, Alex Zhu and Liu Yang, who before Musical.ly both worked on making an educational social network app, of all things. Hard shift to Musical.ly, I guess. Either way, the thing they did prior to Musical.ly didn't work out, so they ended up making said Musical.ly app instead. And that pretty clearly ended up working out for them, so that's pretty neat. But anyways, back in November 2017, a company from over in Chinaland called ByteDance Technology Co. came to an agreement with the Musical.ly company to buy them out for up to $1 billion. And it's estimated that the transaction ended up being somewhere in the 800 million range. And more recently, if you are an avid Musical.ly participant, definitely not like myself, that's certainly not something that I use on a regular basis, you may have been confused to find an app called TikTok on your phone with a weird-ass logo in place of where your Musical.ly app used to be. Well, the reason for that is because that company we mentioned a second ago, ByteDance Technology, owns that app TikTok. And eventually, after buying Musical.ly, they forced the two apps to merge together like some kind of non-consensual Dragon Ball Z fusion. Rest in peace. But TikTok is an app that's existed in China since like 2016, and it's fucking massive over there, like Jesus Christ. According to my very trusty sources over at Wikipedia, it's not only the leading short-form video app in Asia, it's also the fastest growing app in the world, and in the first quarter of this year, it was the most downloaded app in the world, even more popular than Fortnite. Then again, Fortnite was like only on iOS at the time, and I don't even think it was on iOS for the majority of the first quarter of this year, so I don't think that means much. But chances are you've probably seen something that originated from TikTok without even realizing it. Like that one thing that was similar to the Don't Judge challenge, except it's all Asian people and it's one specific song, and it's called the Karma's a Bitch challenge instead. The reason it's a bunch of Asians is because it was a trend that started in Asia on the TikTok app, so now you know where that came from, kinda sorta. Anyways, when ByteDance did their whole song in dance with merging TikTok and Musical.ly, it was basically their attempt at trying to expand the popularity and infect the American populace with the presence of TikTok, which is basically just the Asian equivalent of Musical.ly to begin with. So in my opinion, there really wasn't a reason to rebrand Musical.ly. All of the accounts that were formerly Musical.ly accounts have been moved over and converted into TikTok accounts, so there is that. But personally, I just don't think rebranding Musical.ly was worth it. Like, I get that they're trying to move the name recognition entirely to just TikTok, so it's one brand globally instead of a Burger King in America, Hungry Jack's in Australia kind of deal. But the difference here is that they aren't really launching a new app or service in America like Burger King was in Australia. They're writing over an old one and renaming it TikTok in an attempt to be able to keep that old app's community and users. Which in retrospect, I guess that does give you a leg up than starting from the ground up. And I'm sure some people will stay on the former Musical.ly app, but the rebranding will just throw a lot of people off in my opinion. ByteDance already owns both apps at this point, so it would have made more sense to me if they had just bought out Musical.ly so they have a strong leg in the American market for short form video, but they just kept it branded as Musical.ly and kept running it as such to avoid whatever amount of brand confusion this is almost definitely causing or going to cause. This is just my take. I'm by no means a marketing expert and I could be completely wrong on this front, but I don't know. Just rebranding the app doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And that's not to mention all of the history and meaningful content that will be lost with Musical.ly. Like, who can forget about the kid that limp-synced in a hospital in front of his dying grandpa's bed? It's the classics like these that I'm afraid could be lost to time now that this Musical.ly merger with TikTok has been actively put into effect. As the generation of people who most predominantly participated in this type of content, I think that it's only right we take on the duty of preserving this fantastic and unique culture of short-form video that could only ever be found on Musical.ly. At least after Vine died, it is. Still watch Vine compilations to this day. Never gonna get over that. But it's up to us to make sure that what's happened on Musical.ly will stay immortalized. So let's take a quick run through some of the stuff that's happened in years past on and involving the app, shall we? One of the things about Musical.ly that I remember the most is those articles or news bits that would pop up very sporadically about predators using Musical.ly to target children. I have this one reaction image that I try to reserve usage of for very specific situations, but I think this one might just be appropriate to use it in. It's a picture of a can that says, "Yikes, hard pass." Predators are getting more creative these days, which is scary. No more of that meet me on the playground shit. Now they just groom their victims through fairly niche social media apps. It's actually a bit troubling, to be honest. But evolving kitty diddlers aside, how can we forget forget about those many instances when Musical.ly had some crossover into our home turf, the world of YouTube. To start with, who can forget about such RiceGum classics as These Kids Must Be Stopped, These Kids Must Be Stopped Part 2, These Kids Must Be Stopped Part 3, These Kids Must Be Stopped number 4, and These Kids Must Be Stopped number 5, with over 37 million views between all those videos alone. The These Kids Must Be Stopped series has become a cultural staple here on YouTube, where that kid with real-life JoJo art style eyebrows, RiceGum, is that a JoJo reference? Talks about how badly kids on Musical.ly need to be stopped. And his history with the app doesn't just stop there. The man in our corner, RiceGum, has gone toe-to-toe with some of Musical.ly's biggest names, with diss tracks and in the game of social media wrestling. Like, who can forget the time that RiceGum went up against child prodigy, 13-year-old at the time user Lauren Gray back in early 2016.
No one disrespects Pokemon like that. I was up all night trying to collect all 8 gym badges so I can face off with the Elite Four.
Made a cool 12 mil views off that video. Luckily, both parties were able to come out of that feud being cool with each other and on good terms. A peaceful resolution in a conflict between the two platforms. But the beefs don't end there. RiceGum's also figuratively beat the shit out of a 14-year-old with words named Hunter Rowland when after he included Hunter in one of the aforementioned These Kids Must Be Stopped, the kid went off on RiceGum and called him Panda Express.
Rice butthole, Panda Express, I don't care, chow mein, rice. Whatever you is.
He's a kid and he's angry, so I'm not really gonna judge him too hard for that. But it's just too fucking funny watching Rice's face when he gets called Rice Butthole. But that aside, one of the most impressive achievements I would say RiceGum has ever added to his accolades, though, would be when he alone took on one of the top 5 most popular Musical.ly, or TikTok now I guess, users in the world. Baby Ariel. The tale goes like this. At the time of their feud, Baby Ariel was one of, if not the biggest star on Musical.ly, and it seemed like she was one of the only people who was safe from the wrath of RiceGum. It seemed like they were on good terms. She said he was funny, they didn't really get into it too much, but then somewhere along the line, something changed.
That was so stupid. Like all his roasts. I'm serious.
Ariel?
RiceGum took it out.
Okay, Ariel.
But after Baby Ariel committed this traitorous act that went against her unspoken yet seemingly strict truth with RiceGum, our boy Brian wasn't gonna take it laying down. He plowed into this girl like a fucking semi-truck with a near 9-minute video explaining how he felt about having this done to him, about how he felt that she had flip-flopped on him so quickly, about how he felt that someone he trusted betrayed that trust. And obviously afterwards, he logically destroyed her arguments and deconstructed her actions piece by piece before he laid into her with an absolute banger of a diss track.
I'ma call you Shrek cause you look like an ogre. Heard you got accepted for the next role as Joker.
I gotta be real with you guys for a second. This sarcastic humor stuff takes a toll on you after a while. It's like the body of a hoodie isn't made to hold or produce large amounts of this stuff like a human can. You guys take that shit for granted. But for this video, I will do my best to squeeze out just a little more before this video ends for your subjective entertainment taste's sake. And also ad revenue, that too. Well, his duel with Baby Ariel might be one of his most notable early achievements. One of the most important fights, if not the most important battle that RiceGum has ever been a part of, has been his back and forth feuding with and the role he played in the rise of Jacob Sartorius. You see, as far as I can tell, the second time around that RiceGum got roasted by Jacob Sartorius hard enough to make a video on it was the first of his to ever contain a diss track. At least the earliest I can find that has diss track in the title. If any of you have been around for a good chunk of this RiceGum story arc here on the YouTube anime, you'll know that he is most well known for his plethora of ferocious diss tracks that he's released on other major players in this internet game. Also, he made a Fortnite song once, but for my sake, we're gonna pretend that doesn't exist. And that's what makes this Jacob Sartorius feud a landmark moment in RiceGum's history, because it started his signature diss track trend. And it also contributed to the come up of superstar Jacob Sartorius himself, who would go on to release his own hit singles, Gold Certified Sweatshirt and the also charting single Hit or Miss. Jacob would go on to later collaborate with RiceGum after they'd settled their differences, and then he would move beyond social media, ending up dating Millie Bobby Brown for a little bit somehow. That was a really weird time in a lot of people's lives. Strange timeline we exist in, huh? Get it? Strange? Fuck you. But the point being, Musical.ly has created many a cultural phenomena, some of which have no right to be cultural phenomena. Names will not be named because I don't have any, that's just a funny line to say, but it's been done without us even realizing it, right under our fucking noses. Let this video act as a testament and a time capsule to the impact that the former Musical.ly had on this here earth, so that we may never forget it and that we may learn from humanity's mistakes on that app and outside of it, so we may progress to a brighter and hopefully equally as karaoke-filled future. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, and if you do subscribe, be sure to leave your favorite Musical.ly trends in the comments below. I have a podcast with Wild Spartans and FBS Diesel called Loudmouse. We upload 2 new episodes every week, and we're up on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Kwite and on Instagram at Kwite.png. Links to both of those in the description below. And lastly, I also have a Discord server. Link to that in the description as well if you're interested. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I will see you guys next time.